Shenmue! So Ryo gets off the docks to find Warehouse 8, and right away he gets into a fight, in good old Shenmue manner. And these guys know Ryo. They know all about his reputation, but they're like, we ain't scared. But then they get their asses beat. And then Ryo's like, yo, where can I find Warehouse 8? And the guy's like, oh, even though you just beat my ass, I'm glad to help. It's down the street there and you take a right. And Ryo's like, thanks, man. So he goes down to Warehouse 8, but the old Japanese man in the front's like, hey, you don't work here. Get the fuck out. But Ryo just climbs through the back anyways, because he's dedicated to get that revenge. He doesn't care if he gets a charge for trespassing. He's trying to get that revenge. But then he overhears that there's an old Warehouse 8, and this is the new Warehouse 8. And since no one here looks like a Chinese man named Master Chen, he decides to go to the old Warehouse 8. So he goes down to the old Warehouse 8, and what do you know? There's another old Japanese man telling us that we aren't allowed here. So Ryo decides, fuck it, I'll just sneak in at night. Then out of fucking nowhere you see Hisaka and her sister Mai, who by the way you were never introduced to, but you know, this is Shenmue. You already know the characters, you just dropped into Ryo's life here. So anyways, they're talking and you're like, why is this even happening right now? But then Ryo's like, yo, what's that all about, Hisaka? And she's like, oh, it's my sister and she's been really bad lately. And Ryo's like, oh, you want me to kick her in the ass? And then she's like, can you do that for me? Really? And he's like, yeah, don't worry. I'm used to this. So he goes over and is like, Mai, stop being a bitch. And she's like, fuck you, Ryo. And her friends start attacking you. But then you're like, bitch! And you slap them both because Ryo believes in equality. Everybody getting their ass beat out in this game. Guys, girls, everybody. And he's like, Mai, be good to your sister or I'm beating your ass next. And then you go back to Hisaka and she's like, oh, thanks for kicking my sister's ass. And she's like, by the way, I have to make a delivery to the old warehouses. And you're like, Hisaka, I can do that for you. And no probs. And what do you know? That's the perfect reason to go to Warehouse 8 to do your sneaky sneaks. And it's actually fucking hard. Every time I play this game, those 10 guards that are on duty, they always seem to catch me. Every single time I play this game, I at least get caught once. Anyways, you find Warehouse 8, and you walk in, and you break a plate, and then you meet the coolest character in all of Shenmue, Guizeng. And he's like, I'm gonna beat your ass for breaking that plate, motherfucker. But then Master Chen is like, don't beat his ass. And he's like, are you ready to learn some actual answers to the questions you have? And Ryo's like, yeah, I've been playing this game for 4 hours now, come on, let me get some answers. And Guizeng's like, no, don't tell him. And then Master Chen's like, well, if I don't tell him, people won't play this game. And he's like, the man who killed your dad is part of a group called the Chi-Yu Man. Your dad and his friend from China, the man who wrote the letter, brought back 2 mirrors from China. One is stolen. The dragon mirror. You have to go find the phoenix mirror. If you find it, I'll tell you even more. And now you're like, oh, well, okay, shit. I guess I gotta go find the fucking phoenix mirror. And the first place you check is obviously the dojo. So you start snooping around, and you find a hole to slide a sword in. But then it doesn't work, and you're like, shit, maybe Fuxan knows something. So you go to Fuxan, and he's like, I'm sorry, Ryo. I told on you. I told everything to Ine-san. I'm sorry. And you're like, you fucking bitch. Why would you do that? So you go to Ine-san and she's like, I'm sorry, Ryo, that you're such a fuck up. And then she's like, by the way, your dad gave you something at the antique shop. It was before he died. And you're like, wow, Ine, always with the perfect timing. So you go down to the shop, but before all that, shit, it's another Nozomi scene. She's trying to smash. And she's like, Ryo, what's up? And he's like, nothing. And she gets hella pissed off and is like, nothing. Why won't you just smash me already? And he's like, it's not like I don't want to. And he's like, it's not like I don't want to. And she's like, well, when you do, just tell me so we can smash. Anyways, you go down the shop and you find out it's a sword handle. And some crazy music is playing. And the old man is like, it's a Hazuki tradition for this to be passed down. And you're like, how the fuck do you even know that? Anyways, you run back home, but on the way back, Guizeng comes out of fucking nowhere, and Ryo's like, the fuck you doing here? You work for Landy, don't you? And Guizeng is like, man, you haven't even let me say anything to you yet. But bitch, what if I was? And Ryo's like, well, let's fight then. And then you two fight, and Guizhang promptly beats your ass for a bit before he stops and is like, if I hurt you anymore, then I won't be a good bodyguard. And that's such a twist. And Rio's like, bodyguardo? And he's like, yeah, my dad wants me to protect you because you're the main character of the game, and Landi's the bad guy. Hurry up and go find the mirror. And then, some fucking creepy guy is watching on the roof, and he's like, ooh, Landi, I want Landi to like me. And you're like, what the fuck is that? Who is this character? Anyways, you go back to the dojo, you stick the handle in the sword, and bam, it works. It leads underground, and what do you know? It's a hidden room with all sorts of stuff from China, and you're like, what? My dad lived in China and did a bunch of secret stuff? Like, no shit, that's what this whole game's about. Anyways, you find the mirror and there's a whole bunch of scenes where you can take it to people and they'll tell you some Chinese mythology or some shit about dragons and phoenixes and whatever. We don't really care about all that. We're just looking for revenge. Anyways, you take it back to Master Chen and he's like, the mirrors are powerful. It can unleash a Chinese demon who will destroy the world. Keep it safe. And you're like, what the fuck? Why would you let me, if it can do all of that, why would you let me, some fucking idiot kid, take care of it? And then that creepy guy from out of nowhere just steals the mirror and is like, now Landy will finally let me lick his booty. But you're like, what the fuck? And you take the mirror back and he's like, and he runs off. And you're like, what the fuck? What is this guy? What is he? And Guizhang is like, he's probably a mad angel. The mad angels work with the Chi-Yu men. And he was like, if I find them, can I find Landy? And they're like, man, are you an idiot? Landy's already back in Hong Kong. And Rio's like, take me to Hong Kong. And they're like, no, we don't want to take you to Hong Kong. You have no business in Hong Kong. We just told you to take care of the mirror, that's it. You're gonna get killed if you go to Hong Kong. And then Master Chen's like, don't waste your life on revenge. And Rio's like, man, fuck you. And fuck your dad. Shenmue means revenge. So he goes back home and tells his plan to fuck San like an idiot. And they're like, alright, let's go ask Ine-san for money. And Rio's like, whoa. Let's use a little bit of white lying, okay? So they go and they're like, hey Ine, can I go on a vacation? And she's like, you could use a vacation. Where do you want to go? And then Fuck-san's like, he wants to go to Hong Kong. He wants to go find the guy who killed his dad. And Rio's like, are you fucking serious? We just had this talk. Are you fucking serious? And then Ine-san's like, no. Get the fuck out of my face. And so you go to try to buy a ticket, but it costs way too much money. So you go and grab your savings, and then you tell Fuck-san, you know what? Since you're a bitch, you gotta give me all that money too. But it's still not enough money. So you'll ask Nozomi, since she flies to Canada a lot. And you're like, do you know any cheap way? And she's like, you can go by boat. So then you go try to find a boat ticket, but the only place that sells a boat ticket is pretty shady. But they're like, you know what? We'll give you the ticket. Come back in 4 hours. And then when you do come back, they're like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Who the fuck are you? And you're like, you motherfucker. Give me back my fucking ticket. I'm so tired of this fucking bullshit. And he's like, okay, man, I'm sorry. You just come back tomorrow. And you're like, you fucking better. And you know, this is Shenmue. We already know the drill by now. He's not gonna give you that fucking ticket. But anyways, you go home. And I forgot to mention this, but you have these random dreams of this weird-ass girl, and it doesn't make any sense to you at all. So you kind of just sit there, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Anyways, so it's the next day, next morning, the guy calls, and Fuck-san picks up the phone, and you're like, my call, bitch! And you grab the phone. He's like, yeah, I'm ready, just come by the arcade. So you go to the arcade, and what do you know? Shenmue style, it's a fucking setup, and that creepy-ass looking dude eats your ticket. I don't know why he eats it. He eats it. He's like, now you can go to Hong Kong now. And you're like, why did you even print the ticket if you were just gonna eat it? You know what I mean? Whatever. I'm fucking pissed off. So you beat the shit out of him. And it's supposed to be an impossible fight, but if you play this game like I have, you know how to beat him. You know how to beat him. So you beat his fucking ass, and he's like, Landy won't let me lick his booty anymore. And so you go back to the place, and the guy's like, who the fuck is knocking? Who the fuck is knocking? Oh shit! And you're like, you son of a bitch, I told you I'd be back. And you go on this crazy ass motherfucking chase, which I'm pretty sure is the longest chase in the whole entire game. I've never had to press so many buttons in my goddamn life. And at the end of it, he trips, and you're like, give me back my ticket. And he's like, man, didn't you just see that guy fucking ate it? And you're like, you fucking bitch, give it to me. And he's like, ah, please don't kill me. Ah, please don't kill me. Ah. And that's the end of disc 2.